Hi, this is Becky Nunn with Nunn Design. I'm on location as a guest designer for Beadaholique. In this video, I'd like to show you how you can create a shadow box pendant like you're seeing here. We're going to learn how to colorize a brass stamping with mica powders and Nunn Design sealant, how to use a two-part epoxy clay to create the shadow box look, and then we'll pour a clear resin over the top to create this look here. What you'll need for this video is an open frame channel and a flat tag, both by Nunn Design. You'll need some brass stampings, some Nunn Design two-part resin. I'm using a black crystal clay that I have equal size balls, a variety of different types of mica powders in colors that you would like, Nunn Design sealant, and some toothpicks and stir stick. The first step is going to be determining what design you want to have within your shadow box frame. In this example, I used the bird, but as you can see, it's a lot larger. So I used a pair of flush cutters to trim away the wings so that it would fit nicely inside of that piece. And in this piece where I use the seahorse, you can trim off a little bit of the tail just with a pair of flush cutters. Just take your flush cutters and just cut off that excess and then check to see will that fit nicely inside, and there you go, that looks great. I'm going to try it with the bee for this example. There's no cutting necessary. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to colorize a little bit of the Nunn Design sealant and paint that over the top of it to kind of give it a little bit of interest. As you're seeing here, this has copper and silver. This has a little bit of gold and green on it. This isn't a necessary step, but if you'd like to, you can try this out. I actually do have another video on Beadaholique showing how to colorize your brass stampings with this same technique. So you'll just want to pour a little bit of the Nunn Design sealant out onto a plastic surface. We'll make him, let's try this green color. And then using a stir stick, take a little bit of your mica powders and place it onto the sealant. Then with a toothpick, go ahead and mix that sealant together with the mica powder, and you'll create a color that you like. And you can do this with a variety of different colors. If you wanted the wings to be a green color and maybe the body to be a different color, you are able to mix different colors up. And then I'm just using the mica resin right on the wings. I'm just using it right with my toothpick. And let's see, I think I would like to have a little pink. Let's try pink. So a little bit, I think this might be kind of a pink gold. Mix that up. Oh, that's pretty. And go ahead and put that on the body of the bee. Well, it's not showing up much, is it? Yeah, it's a little light, but you can get the idea of it's kind of like a full enamel look right there on that brass stamping. A little bit of time has passed and our piece is now dried, so you can see our mica powder with the sealant over the brass stamping, and we are ready for the next step. While we were letting that dry, I went ahead and mixed together our two parts of the crystal clay to make one nice black consistent ball. And I also mixed up another batch of fresh resin so we can move on to this next step. So with your crystal clay, this is what we're going to use to make the shadow box part. I had a pretty good sized ball worth, and I'm just double checking that that's going to be about the amount that I want. If I had too much, I would probably pinch off some and start afresh, but that gives me a good idea that that's going to be about the right amount. So I'm placing my open bezel on top of the tag. This loop here and that loop is where this piece is going to dangle off. Press those together and then press down, attaching the crystal clay to not only the flat tag, but to the outside edges of your open bezel. So I'm using my thumb to just press down, directly down for this first round, just to make sure that it's nice and pressed down, making sure my loops are still lined up. And then I'm going to use my thumb to press that clay to those side walls to make sure that I don't have a gap in between the clay and the wall, because when I pour that resin on, it'd be easy for that resin to drop down into that gap, and that will cause some air bubbles to come to the surface. So once you have your piece, looks like I've got a nice contact on all the side walls. Go ahead and lay that down on your work surface and then place in your brass stamping. So I placed it just lightly in, and now I'm using my toothpick to position it, and then I'm going to press it down fully into the clay. And that will allow us to have a nice flat contact so that there's not any room for the resin to seep underneath and again cause air bubbles. So there you can see that's all the way embedded. Now you're ready to start pouring your resin right on to the piece. I do this without letting that clay dry, and I haven't had any issues whatsoever with bubbles. So we'll see how we do here. So at first I'm just putting a little bit right in the middle, and I'm kind of just putting it over any areas that I think there could be any challenges. Down by his feet. I don't know, do bees have feet? And all the way over by the wings. So now I have a full, he's fully, everywhere where it's connected to that resin, it's fully covered. And now I'm just going to continue to drizzle more resin right into the piece. Before the piece is completely filled and I have a high dome worth of resin in there, I'm going to stop. This is why I like to keep it either on a card so it's easy for me to rotate it around. I'm going to come in here and see if I have any air pockets. So I'm gently going along that outside rim. So that's where that resin was connecting, where the clay was connecting with the outside of that bezel, and just agitating it a little bit to see if I have any air pockets inside of there. And then just continue to drizzle more resin until you get a look that you like. You can stop right there and just have it be a flat look, or you can continue to add more until it's nice and domed. If you fill up so much that it runs to that outside edge, it'll go to that outside edge, and then use your toothpick just to go along the whole outside edge and make all of it go. Do you understand? So there's not just a certain area where some is over. You want to make it all over. Let me see if I can create that so you'll know what I'm talking about. Okay, so imagine that you got some resin over on the side right there. See how that part is over and the rest of it isn't? If that happens, just use your toothpick to drag it over to that side edge and make it consistent all the way around. Using my card to turn. This is just a finishing touch to really make it look nice and clean and polished. And there you have it. There's your shadow box pendant. First, we added mica powders with sealant to the brass stamping to colorize it. We added some colorant that way. Then we added a 2-part crystal clay in the base, which was black, pressed in our stamping, and then added an undesigned 2-part resin over the top. And here's a piece that is already finished. This is Becky Nunn at Beadaholique. I hope you enjoy learning how to make a shadow box pendant.